Something really big is shifting in India right now. A whole generation, it seems, is starting to turn its back on those safe, traditional career paths, the ones their parents probably dreamed of for them. So let's dive into this huge change and try to understand what's being called the creator generation. Okay, it really all starts with this one number, 83%. A recent report found that an absolutely staggering 83% of Gen Z in India have posted video content online. Now, this isn't just a hobby, right? This points to a fundamental change in how an entire generation is thinking about work and about ambition itself. So, what does this all mean? What does this new aspiration actually look like? Well, what we're witnessing is the birth of a completely new Indian dream, and this one is being broadcast from millions and millions of smartphones every single day. For decades, the path forward was pretty clear, wasn't it? Become an engineer, a doctor, or maybe a civil servant. These were seen as the absolute pillars of a stable, successful life. But today, for a huge slice of the population, the ultimate goal has completely shifted. It's to become a content creator. And here's the crazy part. Here's why this is even possible. The old gatekeepers, they're basically gone. You don't need a big TV network or a publishing house to give you a platform anymore. If you've got a phone and a data plan, which, let's be honest, thanks to the geo effect, is cheaper than ever, you literally have a broadcast studio right there in your pocket. But what's really driving this massive shift? It's not just about wanting to be famous. There are some really powerful economic forces at play here, both pushing people away from their old jobs and pulling them towards this new creator economy. So let's talk about the push first. The traditional 9-to-5 job is just losing its shine. For starters, entry-level salaries, they just haven't kept up with inflation. And that whole idea of a safe job for life, that's been pretty much shattered by all the recent layoffs. On top of that, a lot of people just feel this deep sense of being a tiny, replaceable cog in some giant corporate machine. So if that's the push, what's the pull? Well, it comes down to a really powerful idea called media leverage, which was popularized by the thinker Naval Ravikant. See, unlike a normal job where you trade 1 hour of your time for 1 hour of pay, media has this magic property. It costs nothing to copy. That means you can create something one time, a video, a podcast, and it can be shown to 1 million people with no extra effort from you. It literally works for you while you sleep. This idea, creating something once that can work for you forever, it creates this incredible financial dynamic called asymmetric upside. Think about it. Your risk is limited. It's really just your time and effort. But the potential reward, it's theoretically uncapped. There is no limit to how many people can see your work. Now that uncapped reward, that sounds amazing, right? But hold on. Before you go and quit your job, we need a serious reality check. Because the economics of the creator world, they don't follow the rules we're used to. It's not a bell curve. It follows something much more brutal, called a power law. And this is what that power law looks like in the real world. It's what you'd call a winner-takes-all market. As you can see pretty clearly here, the top 1% of creators end up capturing almost 90% of all the income. So for every superstar earning millions, there are millions more earning next to nothing. So here's the crucial takeaway from that. It is incredibly difficult to be a middle-class creator. You're either a superstar way up at the top, or you're down in what's called the long tail, just struggling to make a living. This missing middle is the really harsh reality of that power law. But there is a hopeful counter-argument to all this. It's Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans theory, and it suggests you don't have to be a superstar. The goal isn't to get millions of casual viewers. Instead, it's about building a small, dedicated community of true fans, people who will support you directly, allowing you to build a really nice, sustainable career in your own niche. Okay, so beyond the tough economics, there's a very real human cost to this path. When you become a creator, you're essentially trading one boss for another. And let me tell you, this new boss is way more unpredictable. This really gets to the core anxiety of being a creator. You're constantly trying to please this invisible, all-powerful algorithm that basically dictates your reach and your income. And the scariest part? It can change the rules of the game overnight, with absolutely no warning or explanation. And this leads to some pretty serious issues. Algorithmic anxiety, it's a very real thing. Burnout is absolutely rampant because the internet never, ever takes a day off. And maybe the most dangerous part is something called survivorship bias. We only see the winners, right? We see their success and we assume we can copy it, completely forgetting about the massive graveyard of failed channels that we never, ever see. So after all that, is it just a dead end? Well, not necessarily. The future probably isn't this binary choice between, a stable job or being a YouTuber. A new, much more interesting hybrid model is starting to emerge. Let me introduce you to the creator professional. This is the doctor who explains health topics on YouTube. It's the lawyer who breaks down contracts on Instagram, or the engineer who teaches coding online. The key is, they aren't leaving their profession. They're using creator tools to build authority and leverage within it. So how could you actually apply this? Well, there's a pretty simple framework to find your unique spot. Just imagine 3 circles overlapping. The first is, what's your professional skill? The second is, what are you genuinely obsessed with? Something you'd happily do for free. And the third, what real problem can you solve for other people by combining those first 2? Right there in the middle, that intersection, that's your sustainable niche. And that brings us to a really critical question for the future. Is this massive shift towards the creator economy the dynamic future of work, teaching a generation valuable skills like marketing and communication? Or does it pose a risk, maybe pulling our brightest minds away from the hard sciences and engineering and more towards entertainment? The answer to that is going to define a generation.